Good evening, everybody, and welcome to No Excuses. And my name is Ardennes Fury, and once again, we're looking here to inspire yourself. And today's guest has got a wonderful path on how we got to where he is. His name is Yaron Urbas. How are you today?
Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Very excited.
You're welcome. Yeah. As we were talking before we came on air, we had a great laugh about some similarities.
Oh my gosh,
and how you've navigated through life, and here you are today as an actor.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have had similar paths, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
I mean, we've been on a bunch of different things.
Yes, and that's a great thing.
It is a great thing. I mean, I think the purpose of life is to live. You know?
It is.
I think the meaning of life is to give life meaning.
Absolutely.
So I think, true to the name of your show, the idea of no excuses has been a big part of my life.
That's great.
Having dreams and ambitions and pursuing them, and also I've had more than one dream, right?
And that's not a bad thing. So have I. This is like my fourth career.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a wonderful thing.
Exactly. I remember I was having a conversation with someone a while ago. We had similar interests, and I talked about a concept of being what I call a white-collar dropout, right? And so white-collar people tend to be type A people.
Right.
They go out, they eventually have careers in stuff. Maybe they become lawyers, doctors, architects, real estate developers. Maybe they become great actors, successful actors, whatever it is. And that takes a lot of time, and usually you're chasing the money,
That's right.
Not always, but, the money's a part of why you're working that hard. And then after a while you say, hey, you know what? I just want balance.
That's right.
I just want a lot of us assume that if you have a lot of money, you have freedom, you have independence, and that's not really true.
That's exactly.
It's
not.
Real freedom is having the money to do what you want to do without maybe demands like mortgages.
Any ramifications?
Yeah, big house costs a lot of money. Maintaining a big car costs a lot of money. All that stuff. So to me, real freedom is having the option to do exactly what you want to do.
Exactly.
Which means adapting your lifestyle to do that. And I had to do that, like we talked about all the different careers. So I've been in finance, I've been in IT. And when I decided to become an actor, I had to have my wife and I had to seriously sit down and look, and I also have kids, so I had to seriously sit down and look at, can I continue to provide for my family properly and pursue a career in acting? That was a difficult decision, and we decided we could do it.
That's great.
And that's what I've been working on for some time now. Yeah.
And how long were you in IT?
Man, I had an overall career of close to about 15 years.
Oh, it's
long. Yeah. I was lucky in that, so I came from a working class home.
Excellent.
And my mom worked really hard, but one thing that she gave me was she put me in a lot of places that gave me a lot of opportunity. She put me in the Boys Club, for example.
Excellent.
And that was great because I got to play back when Apple's first computers and Radio Shack used to, if anybody knows,
I know Radio Shack well.
Exactly. So they used to make a version of a computer.
Right.
And I was lucky enough that in school we had a computer or two lying around, and I took an interest in it. So that was there kind of from the very beginning of my childhood. And so when the equivalent of the internet back then, like CompuServe and AOL, right? I'm kind of dating myself. But,
yeah, we were both there.
But we were there. And, I latched on to all that stuff. So that was good because it took a while for me to actually have a career in IT, but it was always there.
Right.
And I programmed a computer and I interacted with computers. And later on, I was lucky enough to be able to make a career of it. But one of my first businesses, honestly, going back a long time ago, my first entrepreneurial pursuits was I started a pet care service.
Okay.
I was about 19, 20.
Look at you.
Walking dogs, feeding cats, and turned it into a business. Made all the mistakes you could possibly make.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. It's fun making mistakes, so long as you learn from them.
That's right.
You can't have fear when you try stuff.
Absolutely not. That leap of faith has to be there.
It's got to be there. And sometimes, you look at entrepreneurs in general. They're a weird bunch.
Yes, we are.
Right? We are because we still have this. I guess it's kind of like it's a sort of childhood approach, if you will, that we don't know everything. Most honest entrepreneurs are going to say most of the ventures they've gotten into, they didn't know everything about necessarily. Unless somehow they were born into it. Maybe their parents were a part of the industry or their family. So they have a leg up, but everything's still new.
Right.
But at some point you have to reach out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
To pursue some business venture, and you're never going to know everything about everything.
Like Woodrow Wilson said, I use all the brains I have, and the rest I borrow.
Bam. I love that.
Exactly.
I love that. That's exactly right. I think that's very accurate. I think good entrepreneurs are good leaders.
Yes.
They're good at connecting people and building a quality team and letting people do what they do well.
Right.
It's like casting.
That's right.
It's like we were talking about casting before.
That's right, we were. Exactly.
A good project hopefully is going to be cast well.
That's
right. And that's going to be half the battle. The writing's the other half. And
right.
obviously you need good staff in general,
of
good
course.
people behind the camera.
Of course.
And money. You
right.
always need money.
Right.
But casting is a big part of that problem.
It's kind of like the foundation. And if that cracks, then
forget
the rest
about
of it's going to crack along with it, unfortunately.
We were talking about my house, and I hope.
Well, that wasn't
I hope
it.
that's not going to.
That's not it.
I hope my house isn't going to fall apart.
No,
the audience doesn't know what we're talking about. We were talking about my house and some of its foundation issues.
It's an old home.
Yeah.
It's got its reasons.
It's got its reasons, and it's got character. And
That's
it's old, and I love it.
So you were in IT, and you
Yes.
were kind enough to share with me during your IT times, you were an entrepreneurial.
I was
in a secrecy.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Covertly.
Yes, I'm one of those people. I've always had a side. Even when I was like corporate and had a formal career in IT, and I had a side venture always. I would be starting a business, and in my case, I started selling personal and healthcare products that I started selling on eBay.
That's great.
And I would occasionally monitor while I was an employee as well, and we had fun with that.
And your dog walking was part of how you got there.
The dog walk. Well, actually, there's a little bit of a stint. There's a
yes.
before the dog. So before the dog during. So there's the dog walking.
Right.
Before IT, though, I actually worked in finance for about 2 years.
Okay.
I worked for a company that some people may still remember, Merrill Lynch, when they mattered.
And they were bullish.
And they were bullish, and they were a big deal, and obviously things changed. But I worked there for about 2 years.
Okay.
And what I did there was raising money. And I was developing relationships with small business owners and working with them in that capacity until eventually we would try and work with their personal assets as well. And that was interesting.
Sure.
That was a bit of that was interesting. There were a lot of good people in finance, but there definitely was a bit of a culture shock. I'm an actor. I'm an artist.
Right.
I need freedom. I need flexibility.
Right.
I can be just as quirky and goofy as I can be serious.
Right.
So I need all those dimensions in my life.
Of course.
And if everything gets too serious, it's hard for me.
It's unbalanced.
Exactly, and it's all about balance.
Right.
It's a total imbalance.
Life is definitely a balance.
It is.
Yaron. Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah,
You need it. We all need it.
We do. And I think at some juncture of your life you realize that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're sharing it because it's an important aspect that unfortunately, why we're here. Like you said, the show is about no excuses, but again, it's all about the elements that you're sharing with us, and having balance is a big component.
It is. It is. We go through life and hopefully we learn stuff.
Right.
And hopefully, if we're lucky, we have people around us that are older than us, like maybe our parents, maybe our family, our relatives, our good friends.
Good friends, sure.
That can tell us, hey, I already made that mistake. I already did that.
That's right.
like what I was saying at the beginning, chasing money. When I was young, we all tend to do that. In America, we're very ambitious on average, typically. We all want to own the world. We all want to become billionaires. We all want to, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that will only carry you so far in life.
That's right.
At some point, there needs to be a purpose to what you're doing. So if you in the process of becoming a billionaire, you create Facebook, you create Microsoft, you develop new technology, you develop, Uber.
Right.
You're developing hopefully technology that will change society and hopefully take us in a better route.
Correct.
That's a good reason to become a billionaire.
That's right.
But if it's just to become a billionaire, I think that feeling could be empty.
Oh, sure. Well, one is a lonely number.
One is a lonely number, So for me, in life, the successes we measure through making money has to be in balance with my spiritual success, my emotional success.
That's awesome.
Surrounding myself with quality people.
Absolutely.
Family is very important to me. Making sure the family is there, and that I'm doing right by my family.
Exactly.
Going back to what I said about becoming an actor, it's important to me that I am very aware of the decisions I made and sacrifices I've made to become an actor, to be a consistently working actor. And if you're not in the industry, a lot of people have no idea how much actors have to. I use the word. I don't like using the word sacrifice because, in theory, if you're pursuing something you love, it shouldn't be a sacrifice.
That's right.
But the reality is, a comfortable lifestyle. Your meaning of a comfortable lifestyle has to change. You have to watch every penny more so than if you have a regular, more traditional career.
Right.
in pursuing your goals, you always need to pay something.
Right.
And you have to know what you're paying.
That's right.
You know, so.
And that's a very good point of being conscientious of that. And it was great that you sat down with your wife and I'm sure other family members as well to say, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Because your wife is as much of what you're doing as you are as much as what she does.
Absolutely. I could not be a successful working actor without my wife's complete support.
That's awesome.
And she's used to my craziness. I mean, when I told her,
it's what we love about you.
I hope. I so hope. I mean, when I've gone from venture to venture, and I get bored easily,
Sure.
And I make mistakes just like anyone else. But I have this attitude in myself that if I work hard enough and if I put all in,
Yes.
my heart, my brain, my money, my resources, everything in, then I will succeed. Now, how soon I will succeed is always the issue.
That's right.
But I think you need that tenacity, you need that state of mind.
Yes, you do.
You have to have this, everything needs to get behind your dream and your goal.
Yes, 100%.
in order to succeed.
That's
That's
right.
the only way that I know to succeed.
I agree 100%. And it's great that you've taken that approach and you didn't have that fear with it, And another one of my lines is, my personal line is, not to try is fear. To try and not succeed is a lesson.
Yes.
And live fearlessly. 'Cause
Absolutely.
There's more lessons to be learned by making mistakes, like you pointed out to us perfectly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So in your acting career,
yes.
tell us a few of your projects that
Absolutely.
we can love to hear about.
I've been lucky.
That's great.
I've been very lucky. Excuse me.
You're allowed.
I'm allowed to exhale.
Yes, exhale.
May I fart? Is farting okay?
Okay, next.
Okay, next. Moving on. That's right. No editing. So the more recent thing, I'm in Orange Is the New Black.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have nice co-star opportunities, co-star role.
That's great.
I was lucky enough to be asked back for a second episode, and it's in the next season.
Okay.
And if you watch Orange Is the New Black, it's actually opposite Bailey, so that's as much as I can say on that.
Yes, that's okay.
So that's
we understand those NDAs.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's an exciting opportunity. I'm really happy about that. I'm very lucky and very blessed.
Yeah.
I've been on The Blacklist.
That's great.
I played a Mossad agent on that show as a co-star role. I had a nice role with. So there's a show called The Jim Gaffigan Show.
Okay. Sure.
I'm sure some folks in the audience know Jim Gaffigan. He's an awesome actor and obviously a comedian, but he's actually a great actor too. He's in a bunch of things. And now he's got his own show on TV Land. I was in the pilot season. I had a nice scene with him. It was hilarious.
Good for you.
Yeah, and a couple of my films are on Netflix. I was in a nice World War II film called Ardennes Fury.
Okay.
Directed by Joseph Lawson, made by the Asylum Production Company, and they've been very good to me.
That's great.
Originally I did one feature with them by Emil Smith called Age of Ice.
Excellent.
And he actually ended up referring me to Joseph, and that led to the World War II film.
It's a beautiful thing.
You like to think you try to do your best.
That's right.
That's all I can do. That's all anyone can do.
So what type of acting is something that you like to do? I mean, I know acting's difficult all on its own. That's why it's called acting. You have to play something else.
Yeah.
What is your favorite? And then I'm going to ask you, what's your least favorite?
I love, and I can so tell you what my least favorite is too. but first I'll talk about.
Yes.
I'm a character actor. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm very comfortable in my skin. I love
great.
who I am, but I also know that being a lead actor in, let's say, big budget projects typically means a certain look, and that's probably not me. I'm a character actor.
Mm-hmm.
I love playing characters. And the quirkier and weirder, the better.
That's great.
I love to stretch beyond the way I naturally am.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's a challenge for me, and I love challenges. I majored in psychology, so I love understanding people's motivations.
Great.
So for me, when I'm becoming a character, I'm beginning to understand this character's motivations.
That's awesome.
And any actor will tell you it's all about your motivation.
Right.
Why, as a human being, why are you doing something?
Right.
Is what you're doing, and if you're doing it right, it's believable.
That's right.
And then the audience, whether they pay attention to that or not, it will feel believable.
Exactly.
So I like character, and when I talk about characters, it could be anything as examples. In my case, I've played, I'll play a sleazy agent type. I'll play a Mossad agent action hero type. I'll play, this serious assassin, dark character type, like really bad, creepy, almost Gotham-like characters. Or I'll just play someone like a plumber that talks like this. You can't really understand what he's saying, but that's the way he is. So that's what it is gonna, so that's what happens.
You wear your pants down so the crack shows, right?
That's right. The plumber's crack has to be there. And I actually did have a scene in one project that I did recently that's exactly what it was. And then also, culturally, I'm eclectic. I have a lot of different, a big, broad cultural background. We were talking about that.
Yes, you do.
And I bring that to my characters. I'll tend to play Eastern European characters, Middle Eastern characters. I'm lucky enough that I kind of fit the look and type of those different types of cultures, and I'll bring accents in there. So I'll be an Arabic, I'll be a Jordanian, like I did in Age of Ice. I was a Jordanian fighter pilot. So, right? So that's
great.
Or I do the Israeli accent, and hey, how's everything? Good. I'm happy. Shalom. Right? So whatever. See,
that's awesome.
So for me, this comes from my entrepreneurial life. You want to succeed at something, you have to do whatever it takes to succeed.
Right.
Being an actor is not easy because there's only so many projects out there, and there's a billion actors that want that one spot on a project. That means if I can come in and say, hey, I can speak Polish, or hey, I can do a Russian accent, or hey, I can be very serious, or I can be very funny.
Right.
That gives me versatility, gives me range, it creates more potential opportunities for me.
Good advice.
And I think if I can do that as an actor, and I've done that in many of my entrepreneurial pursuits, I would lend that advice to anyone. Be flexible, be versatile in everything you do, and you will always work.
That's great. Now, when you have this deep character, is there like a time frame that you need to get to be that deep character? That sleazy, that deep.
Oh no, I can become sleazy instantly.
Oh, not the sleazy one. Let's go with the covert one then.
No, I'm very much a child at heart. I really am. I still like to play. I still like to play. I haven't, sometimes when I get too serious, I remind myself that life, like I was saying at the beginning, life's about living and enjoying yourself and putting a smile on your face and not taking everything so seriously. I think I actually have always been, even though I've had serious work in serious places, I don't like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't like too much pretentiousness.
Okay.
I grew up, I have a humble background.
Yes.
My mom was a single mom. She busted her butt, worked hard.
Good for her.
We're immigrants. We came into the country. I've been in many walks of life. I've been around many different people. It's hard for me to take myself too seriously, and I think that ends up in almost everything I do.
That's great.
Got to find fun in what I do.
And it goes back to the balance.
And it goes back to balance.
Which is great.
So, for example, with acting, how hard is it for me to become serious? It's not hard. I can go there immediately, depending on the character. It's in the writing.
Okay.
If it's good writing, it's going to make it easier for me to be the character. But I'm also blessed enough in that I have a past in music. One of the things I was doing when I was a kid, I rapped. I was a rapper. I wrote. I was on a label for a few years.
That's awesome.
That was also around that 18 to 21 years of age. It was around that time
Did you rap
period
to
of my
the
life.
dogs?
I would rap to the dogs. I actually did sing. I sang. I rapped. I did everything to just. I can't.
That's great.
Yeah,
I love it.
If there's any task that's monotonous, I try to find ways to make it interesting. And I actually did sing to keep my days interesting.
That's great.
So with that, I already had this artistic mind very, very early, and like for example, I would freestyle rap. So you have to come up with ideas, things quickly. So I think that actually, because that music never really left me. I covered bands, I played music, I taught myself how to play the keys. So eventually, I think becoming an actor kind of made sense, and becoming a character to me, because maybe, if we go deep, Freud were sitting. Over here right now, and he said, Yaron, I think with a very bad German accent, maybe we won't do that.
Maybe we won't do the bomb.
Maybe we won't. Right. But like,
you're the bomb.
yeah. If I think about why it's easy for me to play different characters, probably because as an immigrant, I had to assimilate. When I really look back at growing up and having to have to interact with different people, different walks of life, different cultures, and fit in, I grew up in a shitty neighborhood. Sorry for cursing, but
it's okay.
That means that you had to adapt, and you had to adapt quickly, and you had to figure things out quickly.
Street smarts.
Yeah, you needed your street smarts.
Street smarts.
Exactly, and that's probably a better way to put it. And that meant I had to figure things out quick. And I think I bring that to my that informs the characters I play.
That's great.
You know, and maybe that's why I enjoy being a character actor. I get to play all these different characters.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what's your least favorite? I know you said you had it in your mind.
The industry. So I think most actors would say the same thing.
And I know it's a tough question.
It is. No,
It's not to limit you.
No,
to anything.
absolutely no. So every actor wants to work more. And typecasting is a word we use in the industry. Typecasting meaning you tend to play roles that the industry feels are appropriate for you.
Okay.
And there are some biases in the industry, but that's not what the show's about. But for example, I happen to have a receding hairline, which I'm totally fine with. But if you watch primetime TV, usually the receding hairline guys are playing the plumbers.
Okay.
They're they're not always the most glamorous roles. Let's just leave it at that. They're the working class dudes. You know, maybe the blue collar guys, exactly. And then every now and then that changes. That's not, you definitely see examples of that not being the case. But most of the guys on prime time nowadays, this is in the 80s, they have full, beautiful head of hair.
What are you trying to say?
So you have great hair, so we're not talking about you, we're talking about me. So, and that's fine. So, for example, you don't always want to play the working class guy. I mean, I've had all types of jobs in my life, and that's admirable and respectful. But I want to. Sometimes you do kind of want to play the lead.
There you go.
But you may not be able to play the lead. So with that said, I don't mind playing a police officer. I play police officers typically. I guess it's part of my look, maybe a little bit of my Lower East Side and Brooklyn way. It fits natural. Casting tends to cast you in things that are consistent with who you are when you walk in the room.
Okay.
And that's, it's funny. So a lot of my friends go out. They go to a lot of networking events. They try to meet this director, that producer. For me, I actually like to not know these folks until I get into the audition room and audition.
Okay.
I like them not to know who Yaron is before he walks into the room, because then you won't think about my background. And maybe I'll play the sophisticated lawyer type, or maybe I'll play the vampire from Transylvania or something.
Right.
Or some, like Gotham wants big characters, for example. So maybe I'll play a big character type. But if you think of Yaron as the guy who typically plays the detective, or typically plays the plumber, you won't realize that, wait, there's range there. This individual can play something else. And that's okay, that's fine. It's not a complaint, but it's just like, that's the perspective I have in the industry. So I actually prefer to just let the work speak. And whenever I get opportunities, for me what works well is just being in the audition room and showing them what I can do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like it's an image in their mind that they just can't release?
It's human. It's like it's human psychology.
Okay.
We tend to, so think about it. If you're a casting director, you've got tens of thousands of people you have to store in here. You need a database. You need an indexing system to organize these people.
Right.
So if you walk into a room and you project lawyer, they're going to store you as lawyer in their head. You walk in.
Interesting.
And, yeah, exactly. You walk in and they go, he'd be a great mafia type guy. Yeah, definitely a mobster type guy, or, whatever it is that they need to. First of all, it's good that they remember you. You want to be remembered.
That's good.
But what happens is the guy who won, and I, for example, I happen to play mobsters a lot. I happen to play bad guys a lot. It's fun. But that I can also be a doting dad. And I do play doting dad.
I can see that.
And I have played a doctor as well, But it's interesting, though, because different casting, I have one casting director that always reaches out to me for doctor-type roles, and another one that always reaches out to me for Middle Eastern roles.
That's funny.
Because that's how they remember me. And so let's tie this together for someone so it's actually useful to other folks beyond me. It's a brand thing.
Okay.
So long as you're remembered, actors are product.
Right.
We are. Some may not want to think of it that way, but we are. We have to think of ourselves as a product, and there's a brand, and there's an image we project. And we need to be aware of that image. You need to be aware of what characters the industry thinks you will play well.
That's a good point.
And initially, you may need to buy into that. And then hopefully when you get enough work and your credentials are built up and the people in the industry know you well enough, they will then realize, wait, this person can also play this. This person can also play that. Some great examples in the industry. We look at people that have traditionally done comedy, and all of a sudden they were able to do very dramatic work. Will Ferrell's a great example. Robin Williams was a great example.
Yes.
There's a lot of great actors that were able to do that. Actually, yeah, Jim Gaffigan was definitely able to do that. My brain is slipping right now, but also, yeah. Anyway, there have been tons of examples of folks being able to cross into. Will Ferrell did a serious film.
True.
You know, Steve Carell, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just going from comedy to drama. But my point is, you know, you can show your versatility and your range, and hopefully the industry will let you and give you those other opportunities.
And I'm sure that'll happen with you.
Yeah, thank you.
I can't see it not happening.
Thank you.
From what we spoke about behind the scenes, it's too bad some of that, well, we were here a lot longer than we're sitting here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see that happening. You have that diversity, and you got the smarts, which is also very important. I can tell by talking to you behind the scenes.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'm not the dumbest guy in the room, but I don't think I'm the smartest guy in the room.
But
either.
you know,
And I don't mean this room. I mean in general.
Okay.
We use that expression in
but
IT
you know
a lot.
also to use other people's minds,
Absolutely.
which is awesome.
Absolutely.
We only have time is already pretty much gone, so I want to thank you for being here, Yaron. I really appreciate it. I want to thank our audience for watching. This is No Excuses, and don't forget your dreams. It's your passion, your positivity, and your persistence, and you will get to where you need to be. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time.
All right, man.
I think we're it.
I think we're it. Dude, that was awesome. Thank you so much,
Oh,
bro.
you're welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
man. Totally.
Appreciate it.